We're live.
Good morning. It's Sunday Bunday. This is our fourth try. Hopefully this one works. And it stays on there. It just keeps going to error. So sorry that it took us a few minutes, 5 minutes to get on here. So hopefully this one, it'll stay. All right, so what I wanted to do today is talk about people that have found my video about my chicken mix and people that have bought my book, and I have my chicken mix recipe in my book, and they want to switch their chickens over to my chicken mix and make my recipe and feed it to their chickens. And I've had several people write to me and say either their chickens don't like it, or a couple people have said their chickens have actually stopped laying eggs, or they lay less eggs since they switched them over, and just overall just a few bumps in the road as they're switching over. And I just want to say, switching animals to a different feed can sometimes just cause a couple bumps in the road. Animals are just creatures of habit. They love when things stay the same forever. Unlike people who we have the saying, variety is the spice of life, and we love that. It just adds interest to our life. Animals are the opposite. They are perfectly happy in their bliss when things never change. In fact, they prefer that. So when you go and mix things up, they're like, what? Wait a minute, what are you doing? So you have to be like prepared for that when you're going to switch things for chickens, not just chickens, but really any animal. So the best way to do it is very, very slowly, and just give them a chance. You're just going to rock their world when you change something. So it can be done, and they will adjust, but just, give them a chance. They need time. They just need time. Another thing, when you are switching their diet from, I don't want to say low quality, but just processed. When you're switching their diet from processed food to a more nutritious whole food diet, which of course is better for them, they're gonna have to digest, work harder to digest it, and also they're gonna be getting more nutrients out of that. It takes them, just their whole system, a little while to get used to that as well. That's an adjustment. So, emotionally they're like, whoa. And then physically, it just takes them a little while to get everything going and switch over. So be patient. Also, a lot of times I've noticed, because I've, through the years and years, I've taken a lot of animals in, and some of them in very poor condition, and I've nursed them back to health and rehabbed them and stuff. I hate the word rescue, because really, I say there's no rescue animals, there's just unwanted animals. So you want the unwanted animals. Well, anyway, once they start getting proper nutrition in their body and you're bringing them back up to health, what happens is all the things in their body that have needed to be done start to happen. So I'm going to give you examples. For chickens, they haven't been molting properly because their body hasn't had the nutrition to grow in the new feathers. So obviously their body is not going to shed out and molt properly, because it's not going to drop all the feathers when there's not proper nutrition to grow in a whole new batch of fresh feathers. So they are just going to, barely molt, just lose a feather here and there. When you switch over to proper nutrition and their body's like, yeah, whoa, they are going to really molt. And even if it's at an odd time of year, they will, molt just because their body wants to. And when that happens, they will stop laying eggs and they will molt. So if that happens, you're going to be like, oh, they were laying. Why did they stop laying eggs? It's like, well, that could be one of the reasons, as their body is going to be like, forget the eggs, I'm going to take care of myself and, bring my body back up to health with my feathers, because feathers are number one. So that could be one of the reasons. And then another, just any other thing in the body that just needs maintenance, let's just say it, the body's going to be working on that when it's getting better nutrition. Another, okay, so that's just an example. And the same will go for, a dog, a horse, it's the first thing it's going to work on is its coat, its feathers. You'll just notice. That's one thing that you notice right away that will improve. So the same with your chicken. So just keep that in mind when you're switching to a whole food that's more nutritious. First, give it time. Just give the animal plenty of time. I'm talking months. Don't expect this to happen in weeks. It takes longer than that for animals. People are rushy. People want things done now, especially the way we live. Everything's fast, 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 hurry, hurry, hurry. And we've just been brought up that way. Like, it can't happen soon enough. Hurry, 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 rush, rush, rush. And it's like the pace of nature is slow, chill. So animals don't speed up to our pace of life. We need to slow down and get into their pace of life. When you try to speed animals up to our pace, they are very miserable, unhappy animals. And so when you get your homestead or you're like stepping into the animal world, slow down to their pace of life. And trust me, you will have such a much happier life and you'll become more healthy too. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is a lot of people say, oh, I made your chicken mix, but my chickens don't like it. And they'll eat this part and they don't like that, or they'll eat all of this except for that, or they'll just say different things. Some of them like all this, but they don't like the whole corn. Some people will say they like everything, but they don't like the sunflower seeds or whatever part, you know what I mean? So animals are kind of like people, if they've lived their whole life and you've never seen it before and you've never tried it before, and, all of a sudden it's just in front of you on the table. Let's just say you're at a buffet and there's like all your familiar foods are just things you've seen. And then there's this one dish you've never seen before. You're going to be like kind of walking through and you're going to be like, what's that? You're not going to be like digging in there, putting it on your plates, You're just going to be, you might look at it and be interested, but chances are you're going to pass it by. So again, give it a chance, give it time. Maybe after you pass that buffet 5, 6 times, then maybe your curiosity is just going to get the best of you and you're going to take a little spoonful one time and you're going to take a little nibble. So the chicken's probably the same way. Any animal, you know what I mean? Especially if one day another chicken takes a bite. That's all it takes, just for one of them just to take a bite, and the other ones all run over there. You know how it is. What do you got? What do you got? What are you eating? So again, of course, don't throw 5 pounds of it in your coop and your run and waste it. Just every day, just throw a little sprinkle in there. Don't waste it. And the curiosity will get the best of them, and pretty soon they'll be nibbling it. So just try to remember that, don't overdo it. And if there's going to be a pause, maybe, and some people's chickens, laying the eggs, and just don't panic about that. Always give them plenty of food for them to eat enough. If they're molting, they're going to stop laying eggs when they molt. So just keep feeding them well. You need to feed them enough, and just be patient, be patient. Now, some chickens are pigs and you won't really see an interruption at all. Maybe they'll just molt when time comes and, they'll just stop laying eggs. Some chickens are in very poor condition, and when they start feeding the chicken mix, I get tons and tons of letters like, oh my God, my chicken started laying eggs again. I'm getting so many eggs now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it just depends on your situation. Everybody's different. But just be patient and trust me, your chickens are going to be happier and healthier if you just do the nutritious food. Another thing is, some people will say, oh, my chickens don't eat as much. They're not eating that much. Well, the reason that is because when they are eating whole food and it's more nutritious, they don't eat as much because they're satisfied better. When they're eating the store-bought food that has a lot of filler in it, they're going to be eating way more of that to get the nutrients they need to, maintain their body. So once you switch them over to my chicken mix, they're going to be getting all the nutrients they need, so they're not going to be eating as much. So you will notice a difference there. They're not going to be eating the volume of food they used to eat. So don't be surprised if they're eating less. That's completely normal because the food is better quality and they're getting what they need from a smaller amount of food. So don't be surprised with that. I just wanted to cover a few of those points because I'm just so happy that the people are switching over and feeding their chickens better food. And I just know that they will be getting great results. And, the chickens, of course, are going to be happier and healthier. So that makes me happy. Another thing I do want to talk about is, years ago, I did talk about feeding, the 3 ingredients mostly, the whole corn, the oats, and then, the black sunflower seeds. But through the years, I've realized that the chickens need the animal protein every day as well, if you really want to get great eggs. And so I've added that into my recipe. Don't forget the high quality cat kibble into your chicken mix, or you can just feed them meat. Whatever you have around your house that's handy for you. That's what I like to say, because everybody's home is different. There's a lot of carnivore type, families out there that eat a lot of meat that might just have that handy. Go ahead and feed it. There's a lot of families that do a lot of fishing, so they're going to probably have just worms and fish and whatever. They can throw that into their chicken coop. There's hunters. There's just different families out there. And then there's also very busy people that are just going to maybe do the high quality cat kibble and just mix that in, the container, just have the big barrel ready because, they have to go off to work and they're just going to have a scoop and feed them morning and evening, and it has to be convenient. So whatever way works for your chickens is perfectly fine, just as long as they get that animal protein every single day. They'll be happy and healthy, and you'll get a lot of eggs.
Sharon, our channel member.
Hi, Sharon.
Says, my rooster started spitting up white liquid and liquid poops. I noticed he has food in his crop. What should I do?
A lot of times what happens is they'll get sauerkraut. So what I do when that happens, which doesn't happen often, for one thing, make sure that he has enough grit available at all times. Sometimes you forget to put it in there, or they just eat it all and you haven't noticed and you haven't added it soon enough. So he just doesn't have enough in there. But for whatever reason, it happens. But what I do is I will pull them out and I'll just put them in a little, wire dog crate, of course, in the dark shade. It's very hot out right now, so you don't want him to overheat. It has to be in the dark, dark shade, very cool. I won't feed him for a couple days. I will make sure he has a big water bowl, and I'll put a little apple cider vinegar in there. And what you're doing is, he's not going to starve to death, trust me. What you're going to do, what that does is it gives that a chance to, work its way through. It's just going to slowly, go through. And without adding more to it. Obviously, adding anything more to that is just going to compound the problem.
And make sure they have grit available.
Yes.
And crushed oyster shells.
Of course. You're going to, give them a little bowl of that, little pan, or just you can put it on the ground if the wire crate is just on the ground. And then just give him a chance. He just is not eat and chill. It's like you ate too much for Thanksgiving dinner, the next day you're like, I'm just gonna sip on tea all day. I'm not gonna, gotta give this a chance to go down. Okay, so it's the same idea for him, and it's actually a little more serious for him, so. What you can do, okay, and so see how he looks on the second day, on the evening. and he should look better. And if he doesn't, you're just like, oh boy, just go ahead and give him a third day and see how he looks. You know, I've never had it not resolve itself by then. And sometimes what I'll do, if you're like, oh, you know, worried he'll get a little dehydrated, what I'll do is I'll make a little like half cup of the apple cider vinegar in the water, but I'll make that a little tiny bit stronger, not too strong, but a little stronger. And I'll just get some white bread and I'll dip that in there so it's just soggy, dripping with water, and I'll offer that to them just to, you know, get a little moisture in there and a little apple cider vinegar. And like, don't overdo it. Like, don't feed them 4 pieces of bread like that, but just maybe a half a piece of bread just to get some, you know, liquid in there and a little apple cider vinegar, and then just see how he goes. That should fix it.
Izzy wants to know if it's okay to feed mealworms to your chickens every day.
Hi, Izzy. Absolutely, absolutely. They have to have animal protein every single day. The best time to do that for egg production, if you want to keep that egg production going, is the morning. The morning time is when they really need it to keep the egg production going. As soon as they lay their morning egg, if that protein isn't there and available, you know, when they're starting their next egg, it's like that's when you can have the interruption. So
Sharon says thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Sharon. No problem. So yes, feed the mealworms. Like, you don't have to dump a half a bag in there every day. You know what I mean? But you do have to just give them, you know, a big handful every day. So, you know, depending on how many chickens, but you know what I mean. Put a good helping in there every day for all the chickens. You don't want to waste it. You don't have to overdo it. That's one thing. Don't waste your money. You know, just learn how much they all need and make little adjustments until you get it just right. And I love to have a scoop. You know, once you figure it out, get the proper size can, scoop, whatever you use, and leave that in the bag. You know, that way, if you need the kids to run out and feed, or, you know, whoever, a neighbor, whoever wants to do it, it's no problem. It's easy peasy because the scoop is in there and you can just be like, okay, just go give them 1 scoop of this, you know, and there's no questions that they're gonna not give enough or too much. It's just, here, 1 scoop of this. Anybody can do it. It makes it so convenient. Okay, so I wanted to also talk about this now that we're on the topic of protein. Somebody wrote to me and said, like, all their chickens are just picked apart and just, you know, eaten up and picked apart, and that is a total lack of protein. If chickens don't get enough protein, they will start eating each other. It's so disgusting and so sad, but that is what happens. They are starving for meat and protein, and they will get it one way or the other, even if they eat each other. Or sometimes they'll eat each other's feathers, because feathers are like 95% protein. They're so desperate for it. And of course, we keep them locked up. They can't get to it on their own, trying to find bugs and toads and lizards and worms and whatever. There's nothing there. Like, they'll just be so desperate for it, they'll start eating each other. So it's really, really sad that people, you know, I think they want to take good care of them and they're doing their best, but they just don't know. So it's like the chickens will just start eating themselves, and then people are like, yikes, like what's going wrong? Like, what am I doing? Help. So I try to just educate. It's like, chickens are meat eaters. It's like they need meat. They have to have it or they will get it one way or another. So if anybody has that problem and they're scratching their head, like, what is going on here? Like, you have to give those chickens high quality animal protein and it will solve all your problems. It's like, so just so you know. So, okay, so I'm going to let Scott see if there's any questions.
Ferkel says, what's a good way to keep flies down?
Hi, Ferkel. Don't overcrowd your coop, because it's like, I don't have a lot of flies, surprisingly. It's like, if you go outside, there's not a lot of flies on my farm. If you put the diatomaceous earth in the chicken mix that I make, The key to that is, and the reason that stuff is so fabulous to deworm your chickens with is it goes through their system, but it doesn't break it down. So then it's just like in their coop, you can sprinkle it in their coop, and that just kills the fly larvae, it kills the flies, it just keeps it down. So if you're interested in using the same kind I use that I've used for years and years and years, you can click on my website, beckishomestead.com, and you can go in my store and just look for the diatomaceous earth. Isn't it called Becky's Favorites?
Yeah, the link is in the description below.
And the link will be in the description of this video. You can click it. Just because you click the link doesn't mean like you buy it. You can just click it, look at it, see what it costs, what it is, and then if you want it and click it, it'll deliver it right to your house. It's so convenient. And what you do is you worm your whole farm. You cannot have like a dog, a cat, chickens, maybe a cow or a goat or whatever, and you cannot just worm your chickens. Your whole property needs to be wormed at the same time if you want to keep parasites, flies, worms, everything down. You got to do everybody. Your property has the worms and the insects and the flies and everything. So that's a key people need to know. That's what you have to do. Also, wait, let me make one more point about the flies. You have to keep lids on all your garbage cans. Otherwise, the flies will breed actually in your garbage cans. So when you put your garbage cans out, put the garbage in the bags, tie them up, put them in the garbage can outside, and put the lid on the garbage can. You don't want flies breeding anywhere on your property. So make sure you do that. And also, do not overcrowd any of your animals. If there's chickens are overcrowded, it's just too much poo and it's gross and it's stinky. Like any animal pen. Just make sure they have plenty of room, all of them. Don't overcrowd them. That's the key, because nothing is grosser and just more unpleasant than flies. You don't even want to go out there. So if you want to enjoy your animals, you want to enjoy your homestead, you got to keep the flies down. Otherwise, it's like, phew. Okay, so are there any more questions? No questions today? Sometimes people just listen, they don't have questions, and some days we have tons of questions. Okay, well anyway, I will tell you a little bit about what's going on Homestead Park this week. It has been so hot. Of course it's hot everywhere, but whew, it's been a hot week. So we're just working away over there. I have been going over there. I'm trying to build like this little tiny, just little horse run-in, just so when we get over there, like really I'm worried about my mule. He's extra special. It's like, and he's a wild one, so I want him to behave himself when we get over there. So I'm just building this little run-in because when it rains, he's so funny. Being a desert animal, he doesn't want to be out in the rain. He wants to just hide. Just him and the donkey, they're so funny. So I'm just building that. And here's the thing, here where I live now, it's like pure sand. It would be like digging a hole on the beach next to the water. It's just like, get the post hole diggers. You're just digging. It's just sand. Like you never hit a rock, nothing. You just like nothing. It's so easy. Well, not on Homestead Park. You start digging and you're just like, at first you're like, oh, it's like kind of like garden dirt. It's so much better, the dirt over here. And I'm like, oh yeah, things grow so good over here. And all of a sudden you're like, clunk. And you're just like, what's that? You like try to dig a little bit and then it's like clay. Well, forget it. Post hole diggers cannot dig clay. You can like just scrape and scrape. It's like you get a teaspoon of dirt up after just like digging and digging. And these are heavy post hole diggers I have. Like you will break your back after a while. You're like digging up a teaspoon of dirt. So I'm just like, oh, this is never gonna work because I have just so many things to do over there. I have to just build like a little house for Neil, a little chicken coop. You know, I have just so much stuff to do over there. I'm like, I gotta move faster than this. So I'm like, I gotta go to Lowe's and get one of those straight, big, heavy crowbars so I can like loosen the dirt, the clay and then like dig it out with postal diggers. So that's what I ended up doing. Go getting one of those crowbars so I could like over there slamming. So I'm just like, oh, this is going to be so much more work building stuff on Homestead Park than it was building stuff over here. Just like, oh well, that's the way it goes. I'm still happy to do it though. Still so excited. Excuse me. But working in the heat, working that hard, you're just like, whew, that is not easy.
Some people don't know what Homestead Park is, so we want to just tell them a little summary from the beginning.
Okay. Homestead Park is my new property that I bought. It's a bigger property than where I live now. So this is what Scott and I were thinking. I have a small property and Scott has a pretty small property. We both have small houses. And so we were thinking, it's getting very crowded around here where we live. So Scott and I were both thinking, let's both sell our little properties and then get a big property and then have 2 little houses on the big property. Because we already like to like share stuff. Like we share the truck. Like we share everything. Like we share the car, we share the truck. We like to share the lawnmower. Like certain things, it's just more convenient to share things. And we're kind of like, why buy 2 of everything? It almost seems crazy and wasteful. We're very conservative. We like to be like that. So we're like, might as well. And plus, you know, and James too. We all share, we all help each other. So it's almost like more convenient. Like might as well just be on one property together. And then we all share and help each other. So we're going to be closer to James, and then we're also just going to be on the same property. It's just going to be so much more convenient. And then have 2 little houses on the same property. So we found a property and we went over there and it's just so beautiful. I'm like, oh, it looks like a park. So then Scott said, yeah, Homestead Park. And I'm like, yeah, that's the name. The name's Homestead Park.
Tammy did a $4.99 super chat with the pear sticker doing a workout saying keep it up.
Oh yeah, keep it up. I'm gonna over there with that postal digger. Thanks, Tammy. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, that is going to be a workout doing all that. Oh my goodness. But it's worth it. And the thing is, working outside, it's just so enjoyable. I just take my time though. That's the thing. I get it done, but I go slow. So it's fine. And then, you know, you look back and it just feels so nice what you've gotten done, you know. So I started my little barn, and then I had to do a gate post. You know, it's a big, long gate, so I'm like, oh, I need a big, fat gate post. Not a 4x4, you know, I needed a big, fat gate post. So I had to dig this big, fat, deep hole for this gate post. But I got that sucker in there so good. So I'm just all pleased with myself. And I got to hang that gate next time I go over there.
Izzy wants to know how many square feet does each chicken need in the coop?
I would say square feet, I think it needs a minimum. I would say 3x3. But, you know, I hate to do a minimum because I like to say just go as big as you can. Just, if you have a big yard, just build a big coop, you know. I mean, if you have a tiny yard and you know, just have less chickens. That's the key. You know, just so you don't overcrowd it. You're just going to have better luck. It's better to have 3 chickens in a big coop and just have those babies laying for the next 6 years. You're going to get more eggs in the long run than to be like, okay, they each need exactly 3x3, so I'm going to cram 15 chickens in this because I calculated it out, and then you're going to be getting like 5 eggs from 15 chickens. You're going to be feeding all those chickens, getting 5 eggs. It's like the math doesn't work out because then you're going to be dealing with problems like, oh, they're not getting along, they're fighting, you know. You'll get a virus, which viruses are all over the world. Believe me, your chickens catch them from time to time. And it's like it'll just run through your coop faster. You'll just be having more problems. Less is more, believe me. Less healthy chickens that are just laying tons of eggs is way better than having way too many, overcrowded, and feeding. I know people, trust me, I know people. They're like, we got 25 chickens and we get 5 eggs a day. And I'm just like, I'm buried in eggs with my 5 chickens. Trust me, every week I'm like, plus I got more in the fridge stacked up there and more rolling in every day. I'm just like, need some eggs? I'm always giving them away. It's crazy, crazy.
Danny wants to know, Danny says, my chickens pant in the heat. What can I do to cool them off?
You don't have to do anything, Danny. Just like we sweat in the heat, that's how they're sweating. They pant. They don't sweat, they pant. So I look at the crows. The crows like to come around my property. I have this murder crow. They're panting. So who cares? It's hot out. They're panting. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to stop them from panting. Just if they're laying in the shade, they have dark shade under a tree, and you have a wooden chicken coop, like mine's kind of cabana style, the way I have mine, and they're like chilling out under there panting. I'm like, so what? They're fine. Just don't go chase them. Don't move them. Just let them chill out. I tell people that. In the hot summer, don't move them around.
It's fine. Don't touch it.
Okay. In the hot summer, in the hot afternoon, leave them. That's not the time to go collect the eggs. That's not the time to go out there and let the dog out to chase them around the coop. That's not the time to go let the kids out to like, I'm going to go see the chickens. Like, no, that's the time to just leave them alone. Let them lay around.
Linda and Tony did a $4.99 super chat.
Hi, Linda and Tony.
And they said, morning, Becky and Scott.
Good morning.
I did what you said, and I made my chicken coop bigger. My chicken will be here at the end of the month. I'm so excited.
It's like, yay, good, good. Yes, it's so exciting. You'll love them. You'll just love them. So anyway, about the panting, just like we sweat, we're not going to die because if we sweat, I sweat every single day of my life when it's hot out. And look, I'm still here. I just make sure I drink water.
Well, you gotta, just as long as you have your chickens set up right.
Yeah, in
the
dark shade.
They have the coop is in the shade.
Yeah.
The coop is under a shade tree.
Yeah.
And there's nothing reflecting on them that's,
stressing them out.
Like the car or some metal or the side of the house, vinyl siding on the house, reflecting heat on them. They should be fine.
Yeah. And I like to do a wooden hen house. And I like to build a high hen house where I can walk in there and stand up. But also, that also makes it cooler in there. And they like to go in there in the hot summer. You know what I mean? It's like their little, I want to call it a cabana. Just picture around a pool, The people that have the cabana around the pool, they're like under their cabana, chilling out in the shade, looking at everybody swimming and hanging out during the day. Look at it that way. It's how I like to. Of course, I live in Florida, so that's how I do my chicken, my hen house is cabana style.
Corbin says they also open up their wings for more air, so keep their roost in the shade.
Yeah, they like all that. Animals know what to do. If you just let them do what they want to do and don't disturb them. Like I said, you don't want the kid out there kicking the beach ball in the yard. Don't put your kid's wading pool under the same shade tree and kicking the beach ball around because that'll make the chickens get up and like run around. You're not going to do that. They need their own area. And then if the yard is shared by the kids and the chickens, you're going to have the kids over here and you're going to have the chickens over there in that corner, away from each other. That's how you have to do it. You have to arrange things so everybody's happy. You have to sit on your property. That's what I'm doing at Homestead Park. I'm spending time over there. Like, where am I going to put things? You have to put thought into that. It's not all just willy-nilly, like you're just throwing a dart and wherever it lands, you do it. You put thought into a homestead. You plan things out so it runs well. And if you don't, if you make a mistake, you make adjustments. So maybe you put the coop somewhere and you're just like, oh, that's not working out the best as it could, The sun's like shining the hottest over there in the afternoon. I think over there would be better where it's shady in the hot part of the day. Okay, no big deal. Move it. You might be like, oh, that's a lot of work to move it. Yes, it is, but you still have to do it. If you want chickens, they live a long time, so get out there and move it. You know, sometimes you have to do what you have to do. And you got to just be like, whatever, because trust me, I've done it before. And
Lori wants to know if you can control what time of day the chickens lay their eggs.
No. Can you control what time of day you have your baby? When that big time for that baby to come? You might want to, but no. When it's time, it's time. So, and I noticed, like, you know, it seems to me like some of my chickens seem like they're late morning layers, and seems like some lay in the more earlier morning. So, no. It happens when it happens. And why would you want to control it? That seems a little weird. Like, is that a control freaky type personality? I don't know. Like, why would you want to control that? Like, let them do their thing. Like, that's weird.
Mickey wants to know what age you can tell if you have a hen or a rooster.
You can tell when the rooster starts cock-a-doodle-dooing. Just wait, you'll know. No, you can kind of start telling. A rooster has a very specific stance, actually. Roosters kind of stand up with their, you know, you just look at a rooster.
I think the first giveaway is the tail feathers.
Yeah.
You'll be looking at your little baby chickens and you'll say, look at those tail feathers on that one. Mm-hmm. I think that might be a rooster. And they're like, well, no, maybe the tail feathers grew early on this one. And it's, I don't know.
Roosters have tail feathers that kind of go.
And then like 2 weeks later, you'll look at them all and they'll have like little tail feathers, but then there'll be the one with these big tail feathers. Like, oh no, I don't know. We might have a rooster here.
Yeah, yeah. And if you can't tell by that, like I said, just wait. Pretty soon when it starts to cock-a-doodle doing, I'm like, yeah, that's a rooster. But make sure it does the rooster dance. If it doesn't do the rooster dance, it's not a good rooster. I have a video on that if you want to learn about that on my website.
Richard did a $2 super chat and says, hi from England.
Thank you, Richard.
I have 3 silkies and just got your book.
Oh, they're the cutest. Thank you for getting the book. Oh, silkies are the cutest, aren't they? Talk about broody. Prepare yourself. When those things turn broody, they're just in that nest box for 6 months straight. You'll have to go visit them in the nest box. I got to tell him this story. He's probably never heard this. Now, I've told this story many times. I had a little white silky hen. Now, this is no lie. This is no lie. I had a little white silky hen. This is back when I lived in 2 houses back. The house before this one right here. I say 2 because I'm already at Homestead Park in my mind. She was this tiny little white silky hen, feisty, feisty, feisty little thing. And I had other hens. I had some Rhode Island red chickens and all this stuff. And they were loose, you know. I would try to put them away at night in the coop. But that little white silky, I couldn't get her in there. She didn't want to go in there. So I just let her loose, you know. She was so tiny. I'm like, whatever. So I didn't see her for a while. I'm like, oh, something got her. I was so worried something got her. Well, one day, here she comes. She was just on the other side of the fence in the neighbor's yard, just right there, though. Here she comes, 24 babies. I was just like, oh my God, you know, I was like counting them all, here they all come. And I was like, I gotta get them, you know, I wanted to get them all over, so I'm like putting them in a tub. So I brought them all over, got her, of course, 24. So we kept them all, let them all grow up. 24 roosters. No joke. Every single one of them was a rooster. What are the chances of that?
Like flipping a coin and having it land on heads 26
what,
times.
like, is that like the magic of the heat? I don't know. What is the chance of that? First of all, just hatching 24 babies, that little tiny silky was just, that was a miracle, I thought, because they were Rhode Island, none of them were her babies. None of them. They were all those Rhode Island red babies. So just that I thought was a miracle in itself because the pile had to be a mountain. And for her, that little tiny thing to keep them all like incubated.
That's a lesson in the power of determination and
yes,
focus.
Just that was a miracle, I thought. And then on top of that, for all 24 to be a rooster, I'm like, that's a miracle on top of a miracle. I will never forget that as long as I live. That's the story of a lifetime. I don't have a story that'll top that. That's happened to me, honestly. It's like a homestead story. That is it right there. That little white silky. She was the broodiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was skin and bones. Like, it would not stop being broody. It wouldn't even eat. It just, all it wanted to do was sit on a nest. It was a weird little chicken.
B&M Gamefowl says, what are your thoughts on game chickens?
B&M Gamefowl. I mean,
$1.99 super chat.
Thank you. So I don't know if you mean like just to keep them. Like, game chickens are very feisty little chickens too. We had one called Little Mama.
Isn't Jules Gamefowl? Isn't he?
I think he is, but he is a what is Jules? He's a little bantam gamefowl. We had one called Little Mama. She was a little game hen. She was the feistiest little game hen. I saw a hawk come down and try to get her babies, and she fought the hawk.
Yeah, those game hens are.
She was something. That was my favorite hen ever.
They're half wild. I think they're great.
I loved her. She was the best little hen ever. She was the smartest little hen. She fought that hawk off, and she was like screaming to her little babies, and they like scattered into the woods and hid there for like an hour.
Gamefowl or like a chicken that has street smarts.
Yeah, she did. They hid for like an hour, and I was like, did the hawk get her babies? I couldn't find her babies anywhere, and finally they all came back to her. I was like, oh, she chased the hawk off and told all her babies to hide. Also, that same little game hen, this was over on this side. That happened back there. Over on this side, she had a nest just out there, and then when they started to hatch, the ants got in the egg before the chicken came out. She was so smart. She rolled that egg away from her nest because she didn't want the ants to get the rest of her babies. She had street smarts, like Scott said. That was amazing. She lived to be pretty old too. I think that chicken was like 9 or 10 years old. She lived to be. That was my favorite chicken ever. Little Mama, that's what we called her. So yeah, I like game hens. Game fowl. I don't know where to find them though. I never see them. I bought her from somebody. I bartered.
On different online hatcheries, they'll have a gamefowl section sometimes, or you can search for them. And
I highly recommend them.
They're out there.
They're little. They're on the smaller side, but yeah, they are dynamite. They know how to take care of themselves. They're feisty. She was a great little chicken. So yes.
Several different people are asking how to make sure their chickens get along.
Well, I have talked about this in the past, and what I say is there's different breeds have different personalities, like different characteristics to their breeds. And so you do have to do your research because some breeds have like sweet personalities and some breeds have more like bossy, aggressive personalities. And so if you mix the two, it sometimes, not always, because I'll have some people be like, well, I had this and that and they got along. Yes, there's always exceptions. But to increase your chances for everybody to get along, it's better to make sure like you have 2 sweet breeds together and 2 bossy breeds together. If you mix the two, a lot of times what will happen is the more bossier breeds will pick on the sweeter ones. And then you'll just see them, like it won't be a peaceful, chicken coop. You'll see them picking on each other. And I don't know about anybody else, but I can't stand to look out there and see that. I'm just like, oh no, you don't. I am not gonna look out every single time and see a bully chasing another one around. I got to put an end to that. I just don't like that. I want peace and quiet. I want everybody to get along. So like a black astrolorps, those are such sweet chickens. I do think the red sex lynx are very sweet. They just mind their own business. So I think black astrolorps and red sex lynx get along really well. They just mind their own business, do their own thing. You for sure can put those two together. I do like the buff Orpingtons, and that's a crap shoot with those though. Like sometimes you'll get really sweet buff Orpingtons, and then sometimes you'll get a meanie in there. So a meanie bully in there. It is so weird. They look beautiful. They look like Goldilocks. They look so sweet. And then, so they will fit on the sweet side. And then one time you'll get one, it'll be a meanie. And you're just like, hey, wait a minute. How did you get in there? Like, you belong on the mean side now. So I don't know how that happens with the buff Orpingtons. So you got to be careful with those. They could
They woke up on the wrong side of the nest.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know, you belong all over here on the bully side, this one, So that one's like split down the middle, iffy. But if you get sweet buff Orpingtons, oh, they're beautiful and sweet. They're awesome. And
we got a $2.99 super chat from Mickey.
Thank you, Mickey.
And they said, thank you. I named my copper hen after you.
Oh, that's so funny. There's a million chickens named Becky now because everybody tells me that, which I am so flattered. I'm so flattered. Everybody names their chickens Becky. Becky Sunshine, I hope. Just name it Becky Sunshine. That is so cute. So cute. So I would just want to say some of the more bully breeds though are definitely Rhode Island Reds. And I don't even know if they mean to. They're just big chickens and they're bold. And so if they want something, they'll just go get it. And then the sweeter ones are like, oh, yikes, okay. And they just run away. So Rhode Island Reds, New Hampshire Reds, they're just more forward chickens that'll just march over there and get it. And the sweeter ones will just run away. You know what I mean? And so Brahma chickens are sweet, on the sweet side. I think if you're a beginner chicken person, or you just have a smaller yard, or you just want to have a few chickens, you just want a few chickens for the family, the kids, whatever. You're one person or two people. Just try to look for the breeds that are on the sweet side. Why not? Just make things easy on yourself. If you live in a neighborhood, you have neighbors. Just try to pick the sweeter ones. You're just going to have better success. You're just going to be happier. It's going to be easier on you. Just look for the sweet ones. I mean, I like the sweet ones better myself.
We got a $2 super chat from Richard.
Thank you, Richard.
And he says, they do stay in. Mine chase pigeons. I don't know what he's talking about.
Just chase pigeons. That's so funny.
Yeah, Bubby, our guinea hen, if she sees the crows in the yard, she cackles and goes on, sounds the alarm.
So,
she does not like trespassing crows.
No. But the squirrels she'll let in. She's like, come on over. Eat all the food. I got to tell you something so funny, though. There's I got to look up what kind of birds these are. They look like egrets. They have those long legs like that, but they're brown. So I call them Mr. Longlegs. Well, Mr. and Mrs. There's two.
Is their nest is behind Neil's bed? Is that what we think?
Well, that's what we think. Mr. and Mrs. Longlegs have been just around the homestead lately. And I'm like, oh, look at that. Because we don't, there's no water around here. There's no lake or anything. So I'm just warms my heart. They're just moseying around, picking around the yard. I've seen them in the horse pasture and just right here along, in my zone, the beginning of zone 2 by the chicken coop in Neil's pen. And the other day they were on the horse pasture and I just love any animal. So I'm like, oh, I gotta put a little pan of water out there for them. Where are they gonna get a drink? I'm all worried about them, right? So then I come in the house and Scott goes, I saw Longlegs in Neil's water because Neil has a little kiddie pool out there. I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, in the pool? And he's like, yeah, in the pool. And I'm like, oh, that makes me so happy because I was literally just thinking how worried I was. I got to put a little pan of water.
Legs, he just steps right in there, acting like he owns the place.
That made me so happy. I'm like, oh, it's like a little wading pool for Mr. Longlegs. So then like I've seen them together, all the time. So the last couple of days I haven't seen them, and I'm like, oh, I think they left. I'm like, for whatever reason, whatever.
Maybe Neil was mean to him.
They moved on. Well, yesterday I'm sitting in there and I'm looking out the window. It was so hot. I'm like, I gotta take a day off, and like, whew, I think I overdid it. I see him. I'm like, oh, Mr. Longlegs is in Neil's pen. He's in Neil's pen, in the back of Neil's pen. And I just saw him. I didn't see her. So then he cuts through and he's in the woods behind Neil's pen. And I'm like, oh, I think she's sitting on a nest in the woods. I'm like, I will die if I see little baby Longlegs come out of there. So I don't know. I'm keeping my eyes peeled. I went yesterday. I'm like, filled Neil's pool up. I'm like, I got to keep this thing filled. I want to keep it all nice just in case he's got to come, because it's like ducks, I'm assuming, because Mr. Duck will stay near the mommy duck when she's sitting on the nest. Not too close, but kind of nearby. He'll hang out. So I'm assuming he's like that, where he's going to hang near her while she sits there. So I'm going to kind of assume it's like a duck. It's probably going to be like 28 days. So I'm going to do the little countdown and see.
Kevin, 123, did a $5 super chat.
Hi, Kevin, 123.
And
Thank
Kevin
you.
says, my chickens have fleas, but I don't know what to do.
That is so interesting. My chickens, in all the years I've had chickens, have never had fleas. That is so interesting. I would catch them and I would put diatomaceous earth on them. I would try to dust them and maybe dust your coop. You know what I mean? And for sure, I would dust the roost that they sleep on at night. I would get that roost and I would just put tons of diatomaceous earth on there and just like, I would rub it in that wooden roost. I would get that thing just covered in diatomaceous earth. And then, try to, you can't because the fleas kind of go around their comb and stuff. Obviously you're not going to get it all over their face, but try to get it under their wings really good and stuff, I really have never struggled with that problem. I've never had to solve that problem. So I don't really know any tricks or anything that would work. I would try to say, treat the coop and the roost and all that stuff. I do know fleas breed and breed and breed and breed, so they lay 1 million eggs. So what I would try to do is treat the roost, treat the coop, so you're killing the eggs, so those eggs don't hatch and turn into more fleas.
Do your neighbors have a bunch of dogs, or do you have a bunch of dogs? Make sure your dogs don't have fleas.
Yeah,
it'll
treat
make the flea population go down, and then it won't be as bad on the chickens.
Fleas can be a problem. That's one thing I will use chemicals on, are flea medication for dogs and cats. I will go to the vet and buy the Bravecto and use that. Now, I will use less than the required amount. They'll tell you, if they say use 1 pill, I would cut that in half. And if they say to give it every 3 months, stretch that out to 4 or 5 months. Try to dose it a little less. But that is one thing I for sure treat, because my animals are outside. They'll go in the woods. My property's big. So I do treat for fleas and ticks on my dogs and cats.
You gotta be smart about what you choose to use a chemical for.
I am for sure. I try to be as anti-fragrant, chemical for cleaners, sprays, all that. But there's certain things I will. Answer another thing. I will use a commercial ant killer, and then, like I said, for the dogs and the cat, I will use a flea, killer for that as well. As minimal as I can. I just want to say that. I don't overdo it. As minimal as I can, but I will use it.
Bunny Hill.
That's cute, Bunny Hill.
Did a $4.99 super chat and says,
Thank
my
you.
grandmother used to grow mint around her coop for fleas and ticks.
Okay, well, there's a suggestion if you want to try that. I don't know if that will eradicate a problem that's already going on, but anything is worth trying. You know what I mean? If you want to try stuff, try it. Like I said, I've never had to deal with a problem like that. So.
Well, I mean, bare minimum, your chickens will have the best breath ever.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, sometimes if it's a severe problem, you don't really have the time to like grow the mints, you know, and do all that stuff. So maybe you can start buying mints and throwing it in the coop, and maybe the chickens will start eating it and it'll do something. So.
Lourdes says Becky doesn't play around with ants and fleas.
Well, those are two things, like, I don't know if anybody's ever been working outside and stepped in ant. I have a million ant bites all over my legs every year. So even using, you know, like I said, I use it minimal. I've noticed it doesn't even kill them all. They'll just kind of move out. Like, I don't care if they're out on my boundary in zone 3. I just don't want ants in zone 1 and zone 2 where I go a lot. Because I always step in them and they bite me.
We got a $9.99 super chat from Amber.
Oh, our Amber. Well, send my love, Amber. Thank you.
And it's the pair bowing and saying thank you.
Oh, Amber, so cute. So adorable. Yeah, I don't care if ants are in zone 3. I do not want ants in zone 1 or 2 because I always step in them, like no matter what. And then I have a million ant bites on me, so I just.
Amber says she is buying a farm, and I won't say where. But you know,
she said it last time. The county.
Yeah, but we just don't need to say it like.
I
out
looked
loud.
that up
it's
by the
in
way.
The chat if people want to see it, but we're not going to.
I want it. Where? This where I said the county? Does it begin with a P? Okay, I remember. I looked that up. Hopefully it's close to the county you're leaving, not way in the middle of your new county. I'm so excited. Good for you. I'm like, yay, how many acres is it?
And then we got a $2.
Wait, I want to know how many acres. Did she say?
She didn't answer yet.
Oh.
We got a $2 super chat from Meme, and they just said hi.
Hi, Meme. Thank you.
11 acres. It's an hour away.
Oh, perfect. 11 acres. That's a nice size. Nice size. Good. You should private message me and tell me all about it.
Can you private message on YouTube?
Oh, no, but like, can't she?
Just email.
I mean, yeah, email.
Just email.
Lots of people
Yeah.
like email me
Becky's
stuff.
Homestead@gmail.com.
Yeah, yeah, like that. Good. How exciting. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you because, you know, when you get, that's a nice size property for privacy. That's why Scott and I are very excited to move to
And we got to go
Homestead
down the
Park.
list. You got to make sure there's no easements. You
Amber,
got to make sure it's not in a flood zone.
I have all that information in my book, so hopefully you know some of this stuff in here that before you buy, because these are big deals. Yeah, there are some things.
And one we recently learned that I have to put in the book is about the septic tank. You have to have the person go out there and dig around because it might be, even if you're not in a flood zone, you might need an expensive septic tank if there's clay and lime rock there.
And it might not be, you might look over a piece of property and be like, oh, I'm putting my dream home right here. And they come and they poke around with their little, you know, stick and say, well, we could put a septic here, but it's going to cost $10,000.
I call it the magic wand.
And you're like, what? It's like, that's not in the budget. And then if they poke around, they can put, you know, the $1,500 septic over there. So your dream house won't be in your dream spot, but it can be over there. Like, these are all things you do have to consider. So maybe you got to have your dream spot and then have 2 or 3 other locations that you could live with, or you'd like to, you know, like you got to.
And the thing is also, here's another thing to keep in mind. With the county you're leaving, you'll save so much money on taxes. I don't know what the taxes are in the new county. I don't know.
They've got to be less.
They have to be less.
Got to be less.
Yeah.
Got to be less. It's I think you're very smart to leave the county you're leaving.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't buy property in that county.
I would never buy property in that county. And if I lived in that county, I would leave that county. So I think you're doing a good move, personally. That's me personally.
What they do
Everybody's different. We never speak for anybody else, though, because everybody is different and everybody's in a different situation. So I never speak for anybody else, though.
And here's the thing. It's like when you move, you got to always keep yourself in a position where you can move. So let's say you move to this new place and you don't like it. But if you're a minimalist and you're a homesteader and you're not
you want to be able to get out of that place too.
You don't have 3 home equity loans. You can move again if you don't like it. That's the great thing about being a homesteader. You're actually not stuck.
Right.
Being a homesteader,
you're not stuck.
You're not stuck. You can leave. I was just telling my mom this the other day. I'm like, look what a good position we were in or are in to leave here and go to Homestead Park. Like, how many people have 3 home equity loans and they're upside down their house? It's like, well, then what?
Right. And then I think a lot of times what happens where I get so many letters where so many people are so buried in such a predicament, and it's actually kind of sad, and I feel for them, although it's not impossible, where they feel so buried and so bummed out, like they don't know where to start. Like they want to move, but they've just gotten themselves into such a predicament. They're like, now what? It's like, well, now what? You get your shovel and start digging. You're going to dig your way out of your predicament you got yourself into. So it's not always pretty. But of course, the best solution is don't get yourself into that predicament in the first place. Try to make good choices. But if you are in that predicament, it's not impossible. You can get out of it. You got yourself into it. You can get yourself out of it. So I'm talking about people that love the thought of homesteading. It strikes a chord in them, and they're like, yes, I've been doing it wrong all these years, and I knew I was doing it wrong, and this strikes a chord in me, but I'm just in such a predicament, it feels impossible. No, it isn't impossible. You can do it. You get the shovel. You're going to be a hard worker anyway if you're going to be a homesteader. You are a hard worker, so you're just going to dig yourself out of where you are now. And you can do it. So
we got a new channel member, CD, just the letters CD.
CD. Thank you, CD, and welcome.
There ain't nobody here but us chickens.
That's what we like to say. There ain't nobody here but us chickens, which is a song. You should look it up. I love the song. It's such a good song. It's by this old black man that sings it, and we love that song. I found that song like a few years ago, and I told Scott, I'm like, oh my God, you got to listen to this song. It's so good.
Yeah, Amber says the county she's in now is very expensive, and what they do is you can even pay your house off, be mortgage free, but what they do is they raise the property taxes so much every year, you end up having your mortgage payment back. Because, it works out the monthly payment of your yearly property taxes. It's like, ends up being like $800 a month. It's like, that's a mortgage payment.
Yeah. You're doing a good move. I think you're doing good for you. Good for you. Anyway, I think it's more rural, your new place. So good. More rural is better. It's just awesome just to sit out in the country. You're just like, oh, it's bliss. So nice.
Clarice's French Gardening says, hello from sunny France. It's 35 degrees Celsius there, which I think is very hot.
Hi, Clarice. Oh, it sounds nice over there.
Chessie wants to know if there's a good website where you can find land and farms for sale. There's a whole chapter.
We have a chapter in this book about buying land, and trust me, it's not just about finding the land, which is very important. And that is the easy part, really, is finding the land. There's things you need to know once you find the land, very important things, and deal breakers, we call them, that you need to know, and things you need to look up for yourself before you purchase land. People can make some big mistakes on a purchase that's a big deal in their life. Buying land is a big deal. It's not like buying a pair of sneakers that you can return, like not a big deal, it's just a little inconvenience. It's a big deal to buy property. And for a lot of us, it's an emotional thing too. We're just like, oh, it's a big deal. It's like, oh my gosh, you're excited. Finally, it's happening. I'm getting away from this, how I used to live, and I'm going to my dream. So there's a lot involved. It's not just finding the land. Like I said, that's actually the easy part. There's things you need to know because there's a very serious side to buying land where there's the fun side, of course. It's thrilling, exciting, but then you have to put your serious face on. There's a very serious side where you have to be all business, look things up, check things out, and do things right. So in the end, after you sign on the dotted line, you're very happy with what you've purchased. And what you've purchased is exactly what you want. So that is why I've written this book, because, for people that have never done it before, there's things that sellers and other people won't tell you. They either don't know, they don't care, they just want to make the sale. And so if you don't look it up yourself and check into it yourself, you'll never find out until down the road. And you'll be like, huh? What? I never knew that. And everybody else, they're not legally obligated to tell you anything. And we'll be like, well, whatever, they didn't break the law.
Yeah, there's a quote from Becky in the book. It says, sometimes a good deal isn't always a good deal.
Yeah, exactly. So this book is worth the price. Now, of course, nobody has to buy anything in life. You know what I mean? We can all learn things the hard way, and trust me, I have. I'm sure we all have. But when you can do things the right way and you could be like, yes, that feels good. So some things are worth, the price and a little bit of education. So we all make those decisions for ourselves as adults. So I just want to tell you, I am here to help people. From the bottom of my heart, I want to help people succeed down their homesteading journey. That is, I don't want to say my mission, because that sounds so corny, and I wouldn't say that's my mission.
Are you passionate about your mission?
I am. No.
What's your mission statement?
No. No, I just truly do want to see more homesteaders, and I am happy to help people. How about that? That's as far as I'm going. I'm happy to help people. Okay, so that's why I wrote the book.
We got a $4.99 super chat from Amber, and it's the pair dropping the microphone.
I almost yanked mine out. Scott said to leave it alone. Can you hear me still?
Well, just don't touch it.
I hate mics. If you only knew how many years I've hated mics and we have fought about microphones. You have no clue.
I don't fight. I just try to do my job. And
he tries. It's the truth. It's the truth. He tries.
Tanya became a new
me.
channel member. Tanya.
Hi, Tanya. Thank you and welcome. Ain't nobody here but us chickens. Look that song up. It's a good song. It's a very funny, very simple, very, very funny song. That's my theme song. Okay, so what were we saying? We were just going on and on about Amber moving. Amber moving. We're like...
Well, buying land is very important.
See, I'm happy for people. I'm so happy for people. I'm like, yay! I'm going to do it. Like I said, picture me with my pink pom-poms. I'm your cheerleader. That's for all of you people out there. That's when you get your chickie babies, when you move, when you make the decision to homestead, everything. Okay, what time is it? Oh, Scott doesn't stop me.
Well, if we're on a roll, why would you
We're never on a roll. We're only supposed to do 1 hour. 1 hour is enough.
We're never on a roll?
1 hour is enough. I think over an hour is too much. I don't like going over 1 hour. Even though I love you guys, but I'm going to see you next week. So we're stopping right now.
Nobody wants you to stop.
We're stopping. We're stopping. I'm coming back next week.
Mike has a chicken joke. My chicken does math and algebra. It's a math of a chicken.
Okay, that's our last giggle for the week.
Somebody wants to know when we're moving to Homestead Park. You didn't really give an update of what has happened so far.
Okay, this is it. I'm going to tell what's happened for Homestead Park and then we're ending. Okay, so we mapped out the route. We are next in line for the
engineer.
Mason.
The engineer's working on the blueprints.
Okay, Scott's going to tell you.
The engineer is working on the blueprints.
I was going to get to that. You're interrupting me.
For the foundation right now.
The engineer, we have to update the foundation blueprints because even though it's the same exact blueprints, obviously, for moving, the date on them has to be the new date. And they have to just double, triple check to make sure the code hasn't changed from when we did this foundation to the new foundation, which the engineer said he doesn't think they had. So he just has to.
But he might just have to write a letter and just be like, it's good. So it's just simple. It's just they got paperwork.
It's just paperwork has to be stamped for the new date and anything. So as soon as he has that done, then we're going to get the relocation permit, which will give the mason permission to start. And then as soon as he starts, what we have learned is they don't build the foundation all the way and then they move the cabin over there and set it on it. It's so weird. They have to move the cabin over there. Well, they can dig the footers first, but then they move the cabin over there and they raise it up high, and the mason has to build the foundation under the cabin, up under the cabin. And then they're gonna lower the house down on there. So the poor mason, I don't know if he's ever done that before. We are gonna talk to him about that. It might be a first for the mason, but I don't know.
Well, I said they should do the footers first.
Yeah, he's probably going to do the footers first.
And then get the house over the footers, and then the house isn't going to be so low. The house is going to be up high.
Yeah, he's going to raise the house.
And he can just build the wall. I don't think that would be that hard.
It's only 4 block high. So yeah, he can do that. But I mean, if I was the mason, I'd almost be under there like laying those blocks. I'm like, I hope he doesn't, I don't know. Anyway. A lot of people do it when they move a house, but anyway, interesting. That's what they're going to be doing. So
we'll say thank you to all our super chatters and our new channel members, and congratulations to Amber.
Yes, all that. No need for me to say it all again. Thank you, everybody. I'm so glad you join us every week, and we'll see you next Sunday, same time, same place. Happy Homestead.